Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God, back with you with the next video in my Line of God's Daily Diary series. As usual, before I discuss what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Diary video, I want to go ahead and read you a chapter from the Bible. Today I will be continuing with Deuteronomy chapter 30. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord, and do all his commandments which I command thee this day. And the Lord thy God will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand, and in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land for good. And for the Lord will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments, and his statutes which are written in this book of the law, and if thou turn unto the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, for this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, Who shall go up for us to heaven, and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea, that thou shouldest say, Who shall go over the sea for us, and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. See, I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. And that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and statutes, and his judgments, that thou mayest live and multiply. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. But if thine heart turn away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shalt be drawn away, and worship other gods and serve them, I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land, whither thou passest over Jordan to go to possess it. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, that thou mayest love the Lord thy God, and that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him, for he is thy life, and the length of thy days, and that thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord swore unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I don't want to offer any analysis of this chapter. Instead, I want to go ahead and I'll transition over to what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Dive video. Since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I worked my software engineering job, and I worked at my core, chest, legs, and back. With no further achievements since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I want to go ahead and talk a bit about a show that I've been watching recently. It's called Alien Earth, and it's on FX and Hulu. I had a ESPN Disney Plus Hulu subscription, which I got recently when I watched a UFC event where a gentleman named Max Holloway fought another gentleman named Dustin Poirier on the main card. Tremendous fight, tremendous card. I had a lot of fun watching that, and the part of that was a subscription to Hulu, and so I've been watching a show on Hulu called Alien Earth. And so the movie Alien came out in 1979, a little bit before God Sent Me Back to Earth, and it's a classic movie, one I think that will stand the test of time, in the sense that it is super, like, it's a great sci-fi movie, it's supposed to be like a thriller, like kind of creepy movie, super fun movie. And basically the idea is that Like there have been many sequels, sort of like different parts of the timeline. This TV show happens before the timeline of the first Alien movie, so that's when it occurs, and it's super interesting because one of the things about like fantasy, sci-fi, all this stuff, like if you think about Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, whatever it is, they transport you to a different place. You think of Dune. In this time, there's a movie just called Dune. They transport you to a different time and place, and they make you feel like a whole different world and universe is possible. Not that like reality is bad. That's by no means what I'm saying. Rather, the idea is that it makes you think like one of the famous lines in Harry Potter is Harry like says something like it was like magic. This was to his uncle Vernon, whom he lives with after his parents were killed by Lord Voldemort, and Harry is raised as adopted by Vernon and Petunia, and he says it was like magic. It was like magic, and Uncle Vernon says there's no such thing as magic. And one of the ideas is whether or not you yourself, as the reader, want to believe and buy into the idea that magic is possible. And of course, when we're reading the Bible, that's a huge part of the story, is that there is a God who exists that has completely different life and powers and abilities that are completely different from human beings. And it's not meant to be like a contrast as much as a truth that that yes, the all have fallen short and all have sinned and fallen short of what? Of the glory of God. That the believers, for example, the church believes, and each individual Christian may not be perfect. It's the idea that they, as a church, follow a perfect God. And so, what I think about with that movie Alien is I think about, wow, like what a crazy like universe and reality it is where there are these like crazy like alien creatures that are like killers and murderers, and in this show it's super interesting. Like it has like synthetic beings, human minds that have been transported to AI synthetic bodies. They're called hybrids. So they have like pure synthetics. They have human minds in synthetic bodies called hybrids, and they have humans with like robotic arms and stuff called cyborgs. And like all of the Earth is ruled over by like five companies. It's become like a crazy like yeah like vision where like these five companies rule over Earth, and two of them, the Prodigy company and the Wayland Yutani company, they are like responsible. They're the two main companies in the story, and they're like fighting over who gets to control the aliens. But as you can imagine, actually it seems like the aliens who are the ones who are like more than capable of handling their own, and instead of being the control, they have quite a bit of control over the story. So this show is still quite in its infancy. I think I've watched like 6 or 7 episodes. I don't know. It's an 8 episode season, so I'm definitely interested to see how it concludes. It's more this idea that I wanted to share that with you because I've always loved science fiction. My favorite book growing up, of course, I loved Harry Potter. Don't get me wrong. Harry Potter is probably my favorite series. My favorite book was a book called Ender's Game, written by one of my favorite authors ever, Orson Scott Card. And in that book, it's about how there's an alien species called the Buggers who have like a hive mind and have been like spreading across the galaxy, and they finally clash with humanity. And when they do, humans evolve like superhuman intelligence in some of their children. And the idea is there's a place called Battle School where these children train so that they can eventually use their higher intelligence to battle against these buggers in what are called the Formic Wars, and how like the science and technology of that time combined with these children's higher intellect leads them to achieving victory over the Formics. And it's led, of course, by the child Andrew Wiggin, Ender. Andrew Ender is his nickname, Wiggin, and he is the one who leads them to victory. And that's what I mean is like science fiction has always had a huge impact on me ever since I was young, in the sense that I always wanted to believe that humanity could go to the stars and beyond. You think about the famous quote from Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond. And basically just the idea that I've always had that kind of imagination. And in this time, there's a great man, Elon Musk, the head of Tesla, SpaceX, Boring Company, a bunch of other stuff. He, who is today, I think, the world's richest man. It's close between him and Larry Ellison, the CEO of oracle, but he's one of the richest men in the world, if not the richest man. He's working on getting humanity to colonize Mars, and who knows how far they can go from there. And the fact that like someone is trying that, and that, there, this idea of, what could this living in the stars be like? What could it be like to go to infinity and beyond? This is a big part of it when you think about the Bible, that God, Jesus, literally wants his people to spread the gospel to the far corners of the world. And this idea that, you know that is not a vision that is limited in scope but broad, and ultimately, as we know, with his second coming, endless and eternal. And so it's just super exciting to think about. That's one of the reasons I just thought about science fiction. I wanted to share it, is because it has all these wondrous possibilities, just like what it could be like when Jesus returns. So that's where I'll go ahead and end the video there for today. I want to go ahead and say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.